remembering how you operated in the show, would you consider yourself emotionally available?
So there were conversations that I had that were off camera. So I'm not going to lie, I was kind of perturbed by Jason saying that I was not emotionally available. We had conversations about marriage, about children, about what the family structure would look like. We've had conversations about, childhood experiences and who we are as people. So I was definitely vulnerable and open with him. The only thing that I did not emotionally open up with was to say that you are the sole person that I'm interested in. So I don't necessarily agree with that comment. I know there was a comment where Joel had mentioned that the reason why he had mentioned my name was because I had finally emotionally opened up. Well, I didn't like Joel and I didn't have that intention with each other, so I'm not just going to emotionally open up just to any and everybody. No offense to him, it's just we were not moving in that direction. And then with regards to AJ, it was kind of we finally got to that space, but there were just some tensions on both sides that we had to work through to get to that place.
Why do you feel that maybe the audience or even Jason or anyone else thought that you were not being emotionally available? What do you feel they were seeing? Now you can look back at some of the shows and stuff.
With Jason, the only thing I can think of is that I did not open myself up to say, Jason, you are it. And I'm not saying that is no shade, no right or wrong on anyone's behalf.
I understand.
I don't see how besides that, I did not open myself up to him. Maybe I could have been more transparent in some of the things that were concerning to me, but we did have conversations about that, and it just didn't really go anywhere. So I don't wholeheartedly believe in that statement. With AJ, I get it. We were bumping heads, and so I get how we didn't really get that momentum going. But I just don't really believe in that statement from Jason. And then the way that things are edited, I get why the audience would agree with that. There are a lot of conversations that were not had or seen between Jason and I, or even like David and I when we had dates, and the kind of the in-depth, just conversations that we had in discussions. So I don't necessarily agree with it. Am I just all out from the beginning? No, I'm not. I do take my time. I do see if the person is in a space where I can open myself up to them in certain ways. But I'm not just closed off and guarded and I can't talk to anyone about anything. You can't get anywhere close to me. No, I don't agree with that, because I actually went on the show intentionally trying to be more open and more available. But, nobody's perfect.
What would it have taken for either Jason or AJ for you to have said yes at the end? What would it have taken from each individual person to make Kyra say, you know what, let's do this?
So for Jason, I just think that the people that we are, I started to realize towards the end that we're just not compatible for each other. But the feelings were there. So it's the tear between liking a person and having the emotions, but also knowing in the back of your mind, like, you like this person, but is that the right person for you? With AJ, maybe if I had that realization sooner and shifted my focus to be more intentional with AJ, and AJ and I had let our guards down with each other earlier in the process, then I think that at the end, we would have chosen each other, based on, the experience that I had seen thus far, up to that point.
Okay. So do you feel that with Jason more than AJ, obviously, because I know you opened up more to Jason, that you shared, your fears, your ambitions, your goals, where your headspace was at? Because one of his complaints was obviously he felt like, you weren't opening up in that area where I know you guys spoke about marriage, I know you spoke about the future, I know you spoke about where you looking to go, but did you share with him, like for instance, we spoke on the live and you kind of shared your heart about your past and how you grew up. Did you share those kind of sentiments with Jason as well?
I had that conversation at the brunch.
Oh, wow.
Jason and I had a very extensive conversation at the brunch where we talked about childhood traumas. We talked about, he asked me straight off the bat, like, what's my relationship like with my father? And I was like, whoa, okay. kind of, heavy conversation. But I was completely transparent in that conversation to the point after the fact. I called my dad and told him, like, yo, I said some things. I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but it's a guy and I'm trying to be open and vulnerable, and that's a part of who I am and how it shaped me. So I was honest. I didn't speak negatively, but I was truthful, in some things that I've experienced, and whatnot. So no, that's why I'm like, I was very open and vulnerable with him about things that are personal to me. That's what my friends hadn't even known, up to this point. So that's why I do kind of take it out to slap in the face to say that I wasn't open. Even as far as the money thing, like I pay my, we had a conversation about money management before he even sat down and talked to my ex. And I told him that I do well with like spending and like with budgeting what I have, I could do better. Like my savings is not where it should be. And so if I have a man who is great with money management and finances that could help me take my money even further, then I am looking for that. So I was vulnerable enough to share what my weaknesses are and where a partner can make me better and stronger. So then when he got in the date with my ex, and what you guys don't see is like after my ex said that, I looked at Jason and was like, yeah, remember, see, that's what I was speaking of. It's not that I don't know how to pay for my, cover my bills or this, that, and the other. It's just that I know that my money could go a lot further than what it is. And if I have a partner who can teach me how to do that, then great. So when he was like, to say what he said, Kyra's going to travel and not pay her bills, I was like, wait, what? And I've expressed to you what my weaknesses were, or what my shortcomings were, and where I'm looking for a partner to make me better. So for you to kind of use that against me, I didn't really appreciate that, to be quite honest. So that's why I don't get this whole Kyra wasn't open and vulnerable, because we talk about a lot of stuff. So as I'm like, I don't agree with that perspective. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not sure what more I could have given besides just laying it all on the table and saying you're it, bottom line.
So did you let him? I know on a ranch you let him know that, obviously, because I know you had a conversation on a ranch, and he said, I've let you know that if I was to leave, I would, you'd be the one I'd be leaving with. But during the process of a conversation between yourself, AJ, and Jason, did you ever let them know how you felt about them? So, like, let's say you were feeling them, or so.
I was completely honest with everybody. And David. So there's a group date where it's me, Ron, Bernicia, and David. And this was after 4 of the guys had mentioned that they, that I was their number one. And Ron brought it up to ask, like, yeah, Kyra, who's your number one? And with David sitting right there, I said, I'm flattered, David, that you said that, but my number one is Jason. And, this is why I think it's too late in the even though I thought, David was a great guy, it's just kind of late in the process for you and I to kind of overcome where my relationship is with other people. So, and with like, that's why at the ranch, if you remember the scene where Jason says to AJ, like, 1 minute she doesn't like you, the next minute she does like you. AJ doesn't move because AJ and I already had that conversation. And the only reason why Jason knew that was because he would ask me, where are you at with this person? Where are you at with that person? I didn't think it was relevant to talk about my connection with other people. I didn't ask him about him and Liz. To me, it didn't matter. Either it's you and I, or it's not, and we're not the best fit, and you do what's best for you, and vice versa. So when he would ask me about AJ, I was truthful. AJ and I would bump heads. I've told AJ this. And once AJ and I had the date, the redemption date, it really put us in a better space. And so when Jason came back and asked me again, I was truthful. Like, yeah, I know AJ and I have bumped heads in the past, but we're really trying to see where we can go with things. So I didn't, again, appreciate him trying to use it to throw in my face when you asked me a question. I was honest with you. But it didn't matter because I was already honest with the person we were talking about. So, yes, I was, like, AJ knew where I stood. And, with Jason, I never told AJ, oh, no, it's you, and I lie about it. No, that was not how I, handled them at all. Because I wouldn't want someone to handle me like that, which is why I had attitude in the end. But, I didn't.
You know what time it is.